I know he's getting a lot of love, but he's still not my guy. I think.
Do you know how many receptions he's had back-to-back weeks? Just by any chance?
You know how many wins those receptions have gotten you this year?
Cool. Good one. My neck, so I feel a little feisty right now. To answer your question, Ryan, I feel optimistic. I think I'm going to get my first win against you.
Yeah, I think it was. Let me just tell y'all how I got double stuffed Oreos, and that ain't double stuff.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Indecision Cave. We're in our midweek episode of week 4 of the regular season. And I'm joined, per usual, by my co-hosts, the commish Ashton Jones, the regular season winner, Justin Coleman, and everybody's guy, Trader Joe. Joe, how you doing, man?
Everybody's guy? Don't gas me up. I'm 0-3, man. You just trying to lift me up from my lows. It's all right.
You know, Joe, talking about you being 0-3, that's the perfect segue. Producer, can I get you to run a clip from our early week episode where Joe makes a claim that everybody wanted to hear?
Yo, he's not going to show the clip. He's going to leave you hanging.
So right now, the projections are 3 points away from each other. 136 for Banks, 133 for Deli. Mark Andrews, tight end for the Ravens. He needs to add 7-8 more points for Banks to win. And I would be the only host on this show so far to have picked him and would start 1-0 with our first match of the week votes. Now, our friend Ace here was saying that, well, we didn't have the luxury of knowing about Julio Jones getting hurt. Or not playing, rather. But I knew I had a suspicion that he would either struggle, just like I said about Davonte Adams, or not play at all. And that was a big factor. Now, what's interesting is another thing that I factored into the decision was I didn't think Banks would play the Ravens defense, which he didn't. But as we're speaking right now, the Ravens defense has 12 points compared to the Titans, who had 2 points for Banks. So that wound up being a wash and probably didn't factor in. But I think I'm going to start off with the 1-0 matchup of the week record.
And we're back. How great was that? Joe, you had the chance. All three of us chose Antoine, who won, and you chose Banks, who lost. He was only down by about 8 points, had one of the top tight ends in the league, and adds to your losing season overall, man. How you feeling, Joe?
Personally, I don't care. It wasn't my team. Sorry, Banks, that you lost, but I guess wrong. Oh well.
There you go. That's some good.
Nah, don't let him get away with that. Don't let him get away.
Okay. Call me on it. I still won't care.
Wow. You don't care about your picks no more, yo?
No, it's not my team. It's oh well.
Joe, part of the show is that we give people the picks of who we think are going to win our matchups.
And
you were wrong.
I was.
Everybody
don't be a sore loser, yo. I'll be a sore winner, but don't be a sore loser.
I promise you I'm not sore at all.
Pause.
You're 0-1.
Okay.
But what if there's a prize for the most matchups won and you're –
Well, then talk to me about the prize.
Nah, you got to wait.
I'm going to just say that was some collusion reparations for Banks losing. So we just throw that out there. Appreciate it.
That's perfect, Justin. And so, Joe might not care about that matchup, but maybe he cares a little bit about this matchup as we dive into this week 4's matchup of the week. We bring guests on, but ladies and gentlemen, the matchup you want to tune into within the Indecision Cave features the 0-3 My Brother's Keepers, that's Joe's team, traveling all the way up I-95 North to New Bedford, Massachusetts, to take on yours truly and the New Bedford Whalers. So, Joe, like we do with everybody else, man, how do you feel about this matchup?
I can't help but feel optimistic. I just can't imagine a world where my team, which is a good team, right? It's a good team, goes 0-4. I think really the MVP from last year. He's going to have a chip on the shoulder after, primetime game, really disappointed. And he's facing a team that's just not that good, the Washington football team.
Thank you.
Yes. I think they're really going to struggle. And, I just did a big trade in our league. I am hearing some feedback. Is anyone else hearing feedback?
Yes. Hold on. Mal, what do you think? Is that Joe? Joe, adjust your microphone real quick.
Adjust my what?
Just move your mic or something.
Was it the switch with the beats for Ashton? Did that do anything?
I don't know. My man's on mute though.
Yeah, I thought Ashton was on mute. Joe, try it again. Pull it back regular and talk again.
Test.
Yeah, you're good. Ashton, it might have been the beats them.
Yeah, I think it was. Let me just tell y'all how I got double stuffed Oreos, and that ain't double stuff.
Not
Commercial
at
break.
all.
Yeah, keep talking about that, Ace.
That double stuff.
Malcolm,
They just gave you slim thick.
Yo,
how can we fix that?
The audio's good now.
No, I understand that, but I don't want to start the whole episode over again. So where do we pick it back up?
He could just do his editing.
Just asking Joe about.
I'll just do a jump cut. It's fine. You remember where you left off at?
Should I just
Just I would say start off.
the whole question?
Ask him about losing again. Just go from there.
Yeah,
Thanks,
how
Ace.
you felt about 0-3?
We don't have to go back there, but all right, that's all right.
And here we go for you today, Joe.
Slim thick Oreos.
How far are we going back?
Oh, you only asked him how he felt about 0-3.
I started ranting a little bit.
Okay. All right. Malcolm, do I need to clap?
No, you do not.
Okay. All right. 1 and 2. Yep. Take your time.
Yo, Malcolm,
Yo.
just have him visually clap so you can know where to start again. So you don't have to scrub
Good.
through the footage.
All right, cool.
It'll just help you out editing wise, so you can just go.
So, Ryan, you're about to ask how I feel about being 0-3?
If he does 2 claps, pause. It's gonna throw me off.
First, we got slim thick, then 2 claps, yo.
There's no other way to say that shit.
All right. So Malcolm, if you don't want that to happen, I won't do it.
Yeah, nah. Let's keep going.
Okay. All right. We're back in 3, 2, 1. So Joe, you're 0-3, heading into a big matchup. Talk to us, man. How you feeling?
So right now, ESPN is projecting that I will lose by 3. I think they will be wrong. I think Lamar Jackson is going to go absolutely off after having somewhat of an embarrassing performance last Monday on the big stage. I think the Redskins can be had, and I think he's really going to. Once again, they've been the Washington football team can be had. Okay. Thank you once again. And honestly, looking at your team, Ryan, someone who might bring you down, who's a good player, but Malcolm Brown. What's the deal with him? Do you trust? Oh, I'm sorry, Marquise Brown. Do you trust him?
Yeah, no, I definitely trust him because I think what we saw in the early week matchup when the Ravens were playing the Chiefs is that Lamar Jackson is looking Marquise Brown's way, right? It's obviously Andrews who's getting the majority of the targets, but then after that he's going to his guy, and so he missed him on what should have been a touchdown, a deep throw down the right sideline. So that's one throw that I know he wish he had back. He targets him when they're down. He's their best intermediate and deep threat. So it's hit or miss because you guys know my take on Lamar Jackson as a thrower. But when he's on, why not get the ball to Marquise Brown? So I agree. That's one of my question marks. But overall, I like him being there.
Okay. So full disclosure, you offered him and Todd Gurley for Michael Thomas. So is that because you're low on them both in general, or you just think that it was something that I would take? So you already gave your thoughts on Malcolm Brown. What about Gurley? Do you still have faith in him?
Marquise Brown.
Ah, you know what I meant.
Yeah, no, I just want to make sure you get something right, so you get one victory.
Woo! Let's go. Let's go. Keep it going, Ryan.
So when we're talking about Marquise Brown and then adding Todd Gurley to it, it's like I'm looking at your team at that point. You're talking about selling Michael Thomas, and we don't know what we're gonna get out of him when he comes back. I love Michael Thomas. I think he's great. I think you found pretty good value for him. But he's never had this kind of injury, right? And so we're assuming he's going to plug and play and be the elite wide receiver that he was. And I hope he is. But with the question marks, I go with a wide receiver who I start every week, right? Marquise Brown is in my starting lineup 2 of the last 3 weeks, but will continue to be in the starting lineup unless I trade him. And then Todd Gurley, who he's touchdown dependent, but he's getting 50% of the carries out in Atlanta, probably more. I mean, Brian Hill had a pretty good week last week, but in general, Gurley's getting the love. So I give you a running back who's getting a lot of love, and I gave you a team's number 1 wide receiver who happens to pair
No,
with –
you didn't give me – you offered. I said no.
No, I offered.
Please continue.
Can I
Please
just comment real
continue.
fast? Can I just start? What do you mean by getting all the love? I'm thoroughly interested on what you're assuming Todd Gurley on getting all the love. Help me understand that.
He's getting the goal line carries, and he's getting just as many regular carries. So if he's going to split the carries, like I said, 50%, they carry the ball 30 times. He's getting 16 carries. Brian Hill's getting 14. But then also when they get the goal line situation and goal line work, he's going to get the touches. It's similar to the 49ers where, yeah, McKinnon gets a lot of the work. He could be the better name. But when they get into the red zone, they're going to give the ball to Jeff Wilson. We've seen touchdown sharks years, fantasy running backs lose so much value because there's goal line sharks, right? And so Todd Gurley, 1 is the goal line shark. 2, he gets just as many carries. And if we're just going to be honest, we know he's the most talented running back on their team. So we give a number 1 running back and a team's number 1 wide receiver, who the reason I paired Marquise Brown with you is that, 1, I know you love Lamar Jackson, but like if you love him so much and you now have his number 1 wide receiver, it seems like I said to you before, it's double the points. When they throw the ball, that's a 10-point play. If they score a touchdown, it's a 10-point play.
Ryan, that's when you are looking at the screen. But the final points will be the final points. So a stack doesn't make me, jump for joy. If he scores 15, it's going to be 15. Yes, Lamar Jackson and his points will move at the same time, but I'm worried about the end. But Deli has joined us. He did offer me the most respective trade in the league. Mo, you seem to be squinting. Do you disagree? Oh, okay. I didn't think so. Okay. So yeah, I think.
Who are you talking to like that?
No. Ryan came out my neck, so I'm feeling a little feisty right now.
No, it's okay. We can talk about Mo's trades later.
Yeah, yes, sir. So yeah. To answer your question, Ryan, I feel optimistic. I think I'm going to get my first win against you.
Yeah, and so just to put a nice little bow on our matchup, again, the featured matchup of the week. I like my chances. I think your team is strong. I see why you're optimistic, but I'm still not big on Mike Davis. I know he's getting a lot of the love, but he's still not my guy. I think.
Do you know how many receptions he's had back-to-back weeks? Just by any chance?
You know how many wins those receptions have gotten you this year?
Ooh, good one, Ryan. Good one. But back to the subject that we were talking about. 8 receptions 2 weeks in a row. And Mr. Gurley has how many receptions on the year?
What does that matter? Okay, so he's better than Todd Gurley in your opinion, but Gurley's going to get
in fantasy. He's the better option this week. I'm just saying that you're sending some shade his way, but he is definitely better than Gurley that you were just ramping about. But go ahead.
Hold on. Brian, can I just do a quick dial back? I know we have Deli on the line, and Joe was the only person that didn't believe in Deli last week. So Deli, I just want to know your thoughts on Joe not believing in your team and you as a GM to come up with the win against the Lombardi trophies. And John, just curious, Joe didn't seem too concerned that he picked the wrong team to win. So I'm just thoroughly curious as to, Deli, how do you feel? Do you have any thoughts on your win? Do you want to thank the people that voted for you? Just thoughts on that. Deli, you got anything? My man, Deli.
I appreciate it.
I mean, I got a question.
Mo had a question.
I got a question.
Oh, great. Ladies and gentlemen.
That's John Smith, Ryan. Wrong guy.
John Smith is among us.
There you go.
Oh,
Grace us.
okay. You know what? Okay, we're gonna do it like that.
We can edit that.
No, I don't care. I am what I am. The question I have is, how is the undefeated person in our league not the matchup of the week? That's just what I want to know.
Who are you playing?
Yeah, that's what it comes down to, Mo. Who are you facing this week?
I faced one of the most difficult opponents our league has ever seen.
Are they 0-3 right now or something? Like, who are you playing?
I don't want to talk about that. I just want to talk about their history.
That's tough. So we wanted to take a little competitive matchup this week because, you know, Joe and I got a little rivalry going. But on top of that, I've never beat him in the entire time he's been in the league. So you know, he's completely defeated, but he's undefeated against me. So we're gonna try to get this victory, and let's keep the ball rolling for the New Bedford Whalers. But folks, we've had some great analysis, but now we're gonna go around the horn, and everybody's gonna give their vote.
I'm curious. I'm really excited for this, and I trust everyone's opinion. Go ahead, Ace.
Hold on, we got Deli back. So what I was saying before is, Deli, can you hear me? Just want to test.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
All right, word. So what I was saying was,
let me mute Deli real quick. 1 second.
So what I was saying was last week, the Trader Joe's was the only team to vote that you were going to lose. So I'm just curious on if you have any comments on his lack of belief in your team and your ability to be a GM. And then maybe we can speak to the trade that you had, how now he has allowed you to be equipped with Julio Jones and Michael Thomas. Just curious, or just any thoughts that you have in general.
Going into the matchup, you know, it added a little fuel to the fire. You know, everyone has their doubters. Even LeBron has doubters. Jordan has doubters. So, you know, when you're trying to make your path to greatness, you know, people are gonna go against you. But, you know, I'm glad my team was able to secure the win, and to continue our path to the playoffs.
All right, so Joe is now Joe Bayless. He is the Skip Bayless of your team.
Come on.
I like
this stretch is just very impressive. Deli is an excellent GM, and which is a great transition to talk about the first major trade in the league. We're going all over the place, and this is Ace's fault. But yeah, I think that's a testament, Deli, of you being a good GM is being able to pull a big trade off like this, because a lot of people are afraid to make big moves. You weren't afraid of, you know, whatever, feedback that you would get from the league or in the chat for everyone saying that Drew Brees' arm is cooked, that you traded for an injured wide receiver. No, you made some analysis of your team. You were looking for the future, and now you have a stacked team. So, no, Deli. It's like as much as you would like to use that fuel for winning last week. No, I'm not a hater. I believe in you, Deli.
Well, first of all, I appreciate that. As for the trade, you know, I wanted to make a move. I seen Michael Thomas. You offered him to me. Having Julio on my roster already, having AJ Green, having Jonathan Taylor, who I couldn't give up, having Nick Chubb, it only made sense to add to that. So while I was a little hesitant on giving up Allen Robinson, who was my keeper, I'm glad I was able to get. I mean, I'm getting Michael Thomas in return. I think Drew Brees, even as he's declining, I think Michael Thomas is, you know, still his top target, is somebody who he's going to look for more often than not. So I have no worries about that. As far as my GM skills, I'm glad I'm improving in you guys' eyes because things were bad the past few seasons. So.
Oh, but let me not miss something that Ace was trying to allude to. I think he was trying to take some of the credit for the trade that went down. Ace, were you saying that Deli isn't responsible for pulling the trigger there, or solely responsible?
Nah, Deli pulled the trigger, but I mean, you have your advisors. You don't just, as a GM, you just don't pull the trigger. You speak to your head coaches. You speak to your friends, your colleagues. I'm actually not the one who gave him the idea, to be very honest. I just said that's a really good idea. He has some really good experts in his back corner.
Trades?
What happened?
Cats have a group chat when it comes to trades?
Nah. So I was actually like,
we help our friends in this.
I was on the PlayStation.
We're all competing. What is going on?
Thank you. Expose him.
I was on the chat with on the PlayStation with one of my friends from a different league, and I actually spoke to him about it. So I had basically already talked Joe down from
down, Joe. He wore you.
Oh no. He definitely did for sure.
Yeah.
Wait, quick question, Deli. You successfully talked me down, no doubt. I have a question. Was there a scenario where you actually were going to give up Jonathan Taylor had I stood my ground?
I don't think so. I'm
Okay.
such a fan. I'm such a fan of him.
Okay.
The same way I was a fan of Nick Chubb last season, I'm a fan of Jonathan Taylor this season.
Oh, so you see the talent. You got an eye for talent. Yes, sir.
Well, I just got one question. With all the people that Deli just listed that he now has in his arsenal, can we safely say that Deli has a squad?
Let's go.
You can never say that.
You just ruined it.
You can never say
You
it.
just ruined it. Somebody's gonna get hurt this week. Wow.
As the good folks at home know, Antoine's been around the league for the entire duration of the league, 5 years, and he just got his 16th win ever. So he's averaging about 4 wins, and every single year we tell him he has a squad. Mahan, you added to the curse. Antoine, we apologize. We know you came, offered your time to the show, and this is what we do to you. We are sorry, sir. But folks, when we come back, the young boy, Ant Mahan, who just asked that question, who just cursed our man Antoine, has a few things he wants to talk to us about in the Indecision Cave. Wow.
And we got to get people to vote as soon as we get back on. Yeah, Ace derailed it.
Ashton's good for a derail of what the hell. Guys,
Quality derail.
Let's talk about Antoine. Malcolm, so real quick, if you're okay, we're going to come back, have everyone vote since I missed that. We'll have Mahan vote last, and then I'll say something about a segue. Mahan will then go on his rant. We can provide feedback, or we can go to a commercial break after he.
What you about to rant about?
You name it.
Not your bad trade offers to him, Mo. It won't be about your bad.
I have not given you any terrible trade offers. What's wrong with you?
So Mahan, talk about your.
What is this blasphemy?
Yeah.
What were we saying, Ryan?
Talk about your wins and losses, and then transition from that in something like, you know what else gets me pissed off? Bad trades. And then, okay.
Now I know why I'm here tonight.
No, you were supposed to be the matchup of the
Gotta
week.
clear the air, baby.
Mo, you're literally the matchup of the week, except Kai couldn't be on. So why, like, it didn't make sense to have just you talk about it.
No, bro, we good. You good. I'm talking about Mahan's about to talk bad about my trades.
Just one in particular. I'll keep it to that one. I promise you.
Hey, yo, Mo, can you change your name
Yes,
to
please.
John Smith?
Sure.
Yes. That's a good running joke. I like it.
John Smith.
Rename.
I forgot to change mine.
Dang, Ashton, did you talk enough when Fitz was on? Like, did Fitz get a cameo?
He probably used the screen recording.
Okay, word.
Also, John Smith and Mahan, if y'all wanted to contribute to the start and sits, now would be a good time to think of
shoot.
cats you might.
Wait, I didn't drop mine already?
Before that.
Yep.
That's
it's
gonna be
totally
like the
optional.
last thing.
Perfect.
Antoine and Mo. Mahan already gave his Mal. He's doing like Davonte
okay.
Parker and
Here.
Yeah.
Well,
I've
with
already
so
got
many.
the eyes from the wife once, so.
Yeah, I
Oh.
got Mahan. I got Mahan.
Yep. With so many cats on, can we just do either one start or one sit?
No, Joe.
Dang. I'm trying to eat.
Hey, since we
multiple?
got a quorum of our league, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, that's a quorum. What are we? Did we decide officially on this Pittsburgh thing? Because it looks like they got buys in our league stuff. But where have we landed?
The points are popping back up for me now, at least. I'm not sure when they're going to play. If it's going to be like a Tuesday night game or whatever. But,
Oh, okay. Yeah, points just popped up back for me.
Okay.
About 30 minutes ago, it was not. All
Same. I looked at it literally before when we were starting.
Yeah.
Nothing. Woo! Me and Rashawn both on 2-game losing streaks. Tough.
You're welcome.
Word.
I'm not thanking you.
Definitely welcome. Thank me.
All right, so guys, I know we are going to pick the matchup of the week.
Yep.
Just want to do that right now. All right, so be ready for that.
Yeah.
So
Drake is on the block, by the way, gents.
He's not really on the block though, y'all. Just so you know.
Oh,
Don't fall into Joe's
Ryan.
trap.
Fake on the block.
Oh,
What does it have to do with Joe?
5, 4, 3, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Indecision Cave. And I was reminded during the commercial break that I threw the break without our favorite moment of this episode, which is when we ask our friends to vote on who will win the matchup of the week. So, Commissioner Jones, we're going to come to you first. You got the Brothers Keepers, 0-3, against the New Bedford Whalers, 2-1.
Did y'all really talk about y'all squads and why y'all think y'all have the better squads before I could really divvy out why I want to pick one versus the other? I need y'all to persuade me.
No, we're not going to.
No, we don't.
We already did that, so please, just give us the vote.
Just talk nice to me. I'm just trying to figure out what you're trying to do.
Talk nice to me, man. Pick somebody.
Commissioner?
Do you need time?
Nah, I'm going to go with the Whalers, man. Joe, I appreciate your trade. I think you definitely bolstered your lineup 100%. But I just think it would be very funny for you to be on for, because then the whole Joe trading, it gets into like full gear, and I'm thoroughly interested in seeing how that looks. And I don't know.
It's glory.
Yeah, I don't know.
Justin, we're coming to you, man. There's only one answer, but I know you like to rock the boat. So are you going with the Keepers or the Whalers?
First off, this is a crime of light skin on light skin violence. So let's just put that out there. So I don't like going against my light skinned brethren, but just looking at the teams now, I'm not sure what y'all lineups are going to be on Sunday. I do like your advantage with the Monday night game with 2 key Falcon players, but I also like Joe having that undefeated record against you, so I'm going to hit the underdog on this one.
ooh.
Thanks.
That's terrible. Antoine, the reigning winner of the matchup of the week. We come to you next. Who do you got?
So, looking at the matchups, I'm gonna have to go. Despite the fact that he didn't vote for me, I have to go with Joe. I think that advantage with Lamar Jackson playing Washington, the receivers. Yeah, I definitely think the underdog's gonna take it also.
That's stupid. Pastor John Smith, we're gonna come to you, man.
Hey, yeah.
He's not a pastor. He's an insurance agent.
No, I am. Somebody making a fake profile of me today.
Oh, yeah.
I was sending stuff to people. But I honestly, I got to go with the Keepers for a couple of reasons. I think his depth, especially at the 2 flex positions, are just, it's too much for the Whalers to handle. And then I just can't find it in myself to vote any team to win who has Gardner Minshew as their starting quarterback. I can't do that.
He's a fantasy star.
So, yeah, I'm going with the keepers this week.
Well, that's a lot of. That's so far. We got 3 people who are wrong. Producer, I hope you keep. And last, we're gonna go to you, Mahan. And don't worry, if this works out the way that I think it's gonna work out, all of you guys are back on next week to hear me rant. But before we do that, Mahan, please enlighten us, man. Keepers or whalers?
So I'm gonna give my honest analysis and try to not be spiteful about the atrocity that went down last week. But honestly, looking at the lineup, I might have to go with the underdog on this one too. Reason being, I think Hollywood Brown is a little too boom or bust for my tasting. Mike Gesicki, again, same issue. Like, but he's had one good game this season. Gardner Minshew, I actually have to disagree. I like Gardner Minshew. I think he's actually carved out a role for himself in Jacksonville. And the Jags at the end of the season might not be the number 1 overall pick. Or
if you call 10 points a roll.
Look, last week is last week. We can't look at 1 week, but yeah, I'm gonna have to give the advantage to Joe here. I think Robert Woods is gonna have himself a game. Lamar Jackson is gonna run over Washington football team. Yeah, I have to go with Joe on this one.
No, so Marquise Brown is boom or bust. Has a lot to do with who's throwing him the ball. I understand. We all understand. But Mahan, despite you being wrong, we're gonna stick with you for a little bit because we brought you here this week as the youngest person in the league to enlighten us on a few things. So please, the floor is yours. The takeover, the break's over. Talk to us, man.
Dang, I at least thought I was older than Kai. But it's been rough. So I just want to start with how I lost last week by a grand total of 3 points. And see, like, you know, us in the Indecision Cave, we've been talking about, you know, getting rid of defenses, and I wasn't on board with that until this week. The Giants, against a trial version 49ers team, put up -4 points. Meanwhile, Ryan's defense, I think it was Tampa, puts up, 16, 18, 19. It just doesn't make sense to me personally. I went from being the highest scoring offense over the first 2 weeks to being 1-2 because Tyler Higbee decided to put up 28 points for whatever reason, along with 4 other people in Kyle's lineup. And then I don't even know how to – Josh Jacobs – no, what really screwed me over was Darren Waller because Bill Belichick threw everything but the kitchen sink at Darren Waller, and he had, 2 receptions for 9 yards. It's been rough. I'm 1-2, but I feel like a 2-1. Like, my squad looking on paper is a 2-1 team, but matchups and just general atrocities have made me 1-2.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's what Ashton always says when it comes to fantasy football. It's unpredictable. And you've just fallen on the wrong side of actually, you fell on the wrong side one time because you faced the greatest fantasy player in our league last week, and that's why you lost. Like, call a spade a spade. You faced the Whalers, and when people face the Whalers, that's what's been known to happen to them. So just be real with yourself since you want to provide your in-depth analysis. Let's be honest, Mahan. Talk to me.
You beat me last week.
Yes.
It is what it is. I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad about that as an isolated incident. I'm just saying for all intents and purposes that I should be 2-1. Deli was the talk of earlier, but I am the only team in this league to have beaten Deli this season.
That's funny. But Mahan, during the commercial break, you shared that maybe it's not just the record, the 1-2 record that kind of has you a little ticked off, so to speak. You got anything else you want to share with the good people that are tuning in today?
Well, I mean, it's injuries, man. Chris Godwin hurt. Derrick Henry, COVID has thrown his availability to even contribute to my squad this week in flux. Davonte Parker got hurt at one point. Kenny Galladay got hurt at one point. Like, at least 60% of my squad has been hurt at some point in the season. I have not had a full-strength squad, I don't think, in any single game this season. And, specifically with Kenny Galladay, I listen to the Odd Fantasy Football podcast here and there. And, the advice that the experts have been given to fantasy owners is like, prey on the Galladay owners. If they are 1-1 and 0-2, they're going to panic. And there's one person in here in particular that decided to capitalize on my panic. And, you know, he had me going there for a second. No, he really didn't. But, you know, I'd just like to make you feel better about that. So there was somebody here who offered me a 2-for-1 deal. And, you know, there's no need to get into the specifics of what that encompassed. But I would just like to point out that neither of those players have seen the starting lineup.
Wow.
Ever.
Wait, hold on. Let's get into specifics.
Let's get
I'm intrigued.
Of course.
We're here.
You've piqued my interest, so yeah. Don't understand me.
Well,
Okay.
before you go on, was he light-skinned or not?
No, he was not like.
Oh, then yeah, go ahead.
All
Let's
right, we
vote,
just had to
please.
clear that up. All right, go
Let's
ahead.
vote, please.
Forward on.
So, the two people in particular that were offered, one's from the Bears and is no longer playing this season. He is still on this person's roster for whatever reason. I'm not sure if that's a keeper candidate or whatever the case may be, but, you know, not my squad, not my problem. And the other one is only producing in the event of another more talented receiver's absence on a team that beat the Patriots in the playoffs.
Wow. I'm seeing someone shake their head. So Mo, it must be you.
Yeah.
We're gonna skip the small talk, John Smith. Please, what is going on?
This is a classic case of spin. I'm sure Ant must be one of Trump's writers because it's a way of looking at things through a lens that just doesn't make sense. What I offered him was DJ Moore. This was early in the season. It was DJ Moore and Corey Davis. First of all, with you saying Corey Davis is attached to A.J. Brown, his best week was when A.J. Brown played. So that makes no sense. He has the same. He had more targets when A.J. Brown played than he does now. Okay, and then the other part about it is that I offered you DJ Moore, who is the #1 wide receiver in Carolina, before we knew whether or not, like, DJ Moore has had a down year. But don't play it like I offered you that this week. It was after the first week games that I offered you DJ Moore and Corey Davis. I'm looking at the text right now for and I revisited it. I brought it back up. Galladay and DJ Moore and Corey Davis, right? DJ Moore starts every single week for me.
I don't recall you offering. Can you point me to the timestamp of that date? Because I don't recall you offering me DJ Moore until this week.
Here it is.
Folks, Kenny
That
Galladay.
screenshot is from Monday. I mentioned earlier in the season. I mentioned this during commercial break. I said,
what did I say?
For Corey Davis, or Tariq Cohen and Corey Davis for Kenny Galladay.
Revisiting our talks is what I say, right up here.
Yeah, your initial talk was Tariq Cohen and Corey Davis. I'm talking solely about that. That was your first offer, I think, after the first week of the season. I was thinking, okay, yeah, he's probably trying to negotiate whatever. DJ Moore was not mentioned until Monday, and the only reason DJ Moore was mentioned is because your initial piece tore his ACL.
I don't see your issue. DJ Moore is still the #1 wide receiver in Carolina. So you're making a whole bunch of fuss about nothing. You're trying to act like you were slandered. This is a legitimate trade offer that you could counter, and you did not counter, and we left it alone. It was not disrespectful. You were offered quality people.
How do you open with, okay, when you're talking about Kenny Galladay, especially last year's receiving touchdowns leader, how do you expect anyone to
What have you done for me lately is the name of the game in the NFL, right?
Wait, what is the name of the game?
What have you done for me lately is the name of the game in the NFL. Right?
Kenny
You said
Galladay
he
got
was
hurt
the
and
touchdown leader last year. Well, Gurley was the touchdown leader 2 years ago.
Hey, we're not going to talk about Gurley.
What does that mean?
We're not doing that.
Wait, okay. Mo. How many points have Tariq Cohen and Corey Davis put up in your starting lineup this season?
I'm 3-0 for a reason, sir. And you're 1-2 for a reason. I don't need them to start for me.
I'm not here to point fingers. I'm not here to point fingers. I'm just going to ask you, how many points have Tariq Cohen and Corey Davis put up in your starting lineup this season? I just want to know.
Enough to beat you.
Wow. And
they have not seen your starting lineup this season, and you have not played me this season. They put up 0 points in your starting lineup, and you offered them to me for last year's receiving touchdowns leader.
Okay. So I gave you a 2-for-1. Galladay has scored how many points this year before this last week? 0?
He was hurt.
Okay. And then Tariq Cohen was averaging 8 and Davis was averaging 12. So I offered you 20 fantasy points a week for 0 fantasy points a week up until that point. Yes, he would get better. Yes, he was hurt.
We're gonna compare mid production to a receiver who was hurt.
Hold on, can I ask a question?
Said, yeah. Did you not hear what I said? Yes, he was hurt, and yes, he will get better. But what did I offer you? I offered you 20 points a week, and from the looks of your 1-2 record, it looks like you needed the help. And I was doing the good Christian thing to help you out.
He definitely needs help. I can speak to that as I destroyed.
Oh my gosh!
I know I need some help. I just don't consider Tariq Cohen and Corey Davis help. DJ Moore, yeah, we had further conversations on that, but you can't compare him to Kenny Galladay in the same structure. DJ Moore's had one good game this season. Outside, he has not produced 10 points in a week.
That's fine.
So
enough for me to win.
So I know we're on our cap or fact section right now. But question for you. Has Kenny Galladay made it to your lineup to this point, Mahan?
Yes.
How many points did he give you?
I think 15 or 16.
Yeah. Did a great job.
And then I guess Mahan's point was
with a loss, right?
I think Mahan's point was how many points did either Tariq Cohen or Corey Davis have in your starting lineup, Mo?
The question you are posing.
No, hold on. That's just too
no. You're trying to frame something in a way that doesn't make sense. The question you are posing is that I needed to play those players. It matters what they scored, not whether or not I started them.
I'm saying that was Mahan's point, is that you never started them and you offered
and I rebutted that saying that it doesn't matter if I started them.
So let me translate a little bit. John Smith is saying his 3-0 team is so elite that those good players can sit on his bench.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
I know y'all a little slow and it took me a while to catch up.
Okay.
But that's what I'm trying to say.
So what he's saying is he'll trade bench players for starting players. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, for sure. Because my bench players are starting players on some of your rosters.
Wow. Okay, we're not going to allow that kind of slander to continue. What we are.
That's a high score for the first couple weeks.
Mahan, did you lose to me last week? Okay, so you're going to hold on to
Goodness gracious.
And hold on, I'll do before Mo does it to me as well. I'll do this before Mo does it to me. I also lost to him last week, so before he gets to that, I'm just saying that right then and there.
Tell him to hold some L's, Ryan.
Yeah, no, hold that. But the best part about this league and about this discussion is now we're at the point where DJ Moore is involved, Kenny Galladay's involved. You guys can offline, and maybe we get another trade going on. Mahan, we don't understand completely why you feel disrespected, but you feel disrespected, and we're okay with that within the league. So there's that smile. We appreciate that. Hopefully you guys can find a way to make a trade happen.
I'm good.
Oh.
Mo seems to be good now. We pissed him off.
Well, Mahan and I have started a little something. I'm guessing it won't happen, but we got some good healthy talks going on, so he's not worried.
Yeah, there we go. So we have healthy discussion within the Indecision Cave. Mahan, cool it a little bit, man. I know 1 and 2 really hurt your heart, man. It hurts almost as bad as Joe being 0 and 3. And when we come back from this commercial break, we will be starting and sitting players within the Indecision Cave.
Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, you just witnessed one of the most riveting discussions within the Indecision Cave. But during that commercial break, we got the young boy, Ant Mahan, to calm down. He's breathing. His blood pressure is back to a normal level, which is perfect timing as we get ready for another section of our show that everybody loves, Starts and Sits. So, producer, if you could show our records from last week, everybody got their picks in, and we did okay. We won't sit and talk about last week for too much, but we will get into this week's picks. So we're coming to you, Commissioner Jones. Who are you starting and sitting in week 4?
I'm not looking too good on these records. I don't know what the record is, but I know for the record, I did say Mike Davis was going to ball out. He absolutely tore it up. So my true sit is going to be Mike Davis. Everyone's assuming that since Christian McCaffrey's out, that all of a sudden Mike Davis, 29-year-old Mike Davis, 30-year-old Mike Davis, 7-year veteran Mike Davis is going to come in and just provide these astronomical numbers. We saw last week Curtis Samuels is going to get some love there as well.
He's just not the same as Christian McCaffrey. He's not the same. And I don't know if I truly trust Carolina's O-line to see some quality production. You might see 10, maybe 12, and that's good for your RB2. But like I said, I don't think he's going to be your savior.
I was wrong on that one. But I'm going to continue to do some hot takes. And so my sit of the week is going to be someone that's scary. His name is Terry. And I believe he plays the Ravens. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I don't like that secondary. I don't like his chance against that secondary or his quarterback, to say the least, because his quarterback is the reason why the defense last week beat me. So I'm going to say sit, scary Terry. And I'm going to say start someone who didn't do very well last week fantasy-wise. But I think with Davonte Adams coming back, he'll be back to seeing a good amount of targets and not seeing double coverage, and that's MVS. So
there you go. So we're starting MVS, and we are sitting Terry McLaurin. Justin, all-time leading winner in regular season history. Only one win in postseason history. Talk to us, man. Who are you starting and sitting in week 4?
All right, so this week, who I'm starting will be Tyler Higbee, the tight end for the Los Angeles Rams, if you didn't know. Pretty much all these ESPN stats are talking about how the Giants are great against tight ends for some reason, but they haven't played a team with a legit tight end threat. So, yeah, I'm going to say if you got Tyler, put him in. Sitting, I'm going to have to sit Noah Fant. I'm not too confident in this Denver offense, and they're playing on a short week, given they are playing the Jets, which does look like some type of JV team, but at the same time, it's Thursday game. It's always something weird with Thursday games, so I would sit no offense, start Tyler Higbee.
All good. We're going to go to Ant Mahan. You know, Ant, are you breathing? You okay over there?
We all good.
All right. Who are you starting and sitting this week, my man?
So I'm going to use my squad as a use case for this. My starter is going to be Davonte Parker going up against the Seahawks. You know, the Legion of Boom ain't what it used to be. And Ryan Fitzpatrick has actually had a good couple weeks. I think he airs it out to keep out with Russ. I don't think it's going to end well for him personally, but I'm banking on it ending well for Davonte at least. So Davonte's going to be my starter. And then I'm going to sit Darius Slayton from my very own New York Giants. He's going to be most likely drawing Jalen Ramsey this week. And I think the same case, you know, the LA Rams are a very high-powered offense. You know, Jared Goff, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, so on and so forth. Daniel Jones is going to try to keep up, and, you know, he's very turnover heavy. I don't think it ends well for the Giants, and I don't think that ends well for Darius Slayton.
There you go. Antoine, we're going to come to you. Who are you starting and sitting in week 4?
So for a start, I believe you should attack that Rams-Giants game. For a start, I believe Daryl Henderson would be perfect. The Giants are giving up 6.1 yards per rush this season so far. I think he's going to continue to take over that backfield. As for a sit, I'm looking at Mark Ingram and really anybody in that Ravens backfield. I think that three-headed monster is going to be bad for his week. Even though they're playing Washington, I don't think the running backs are going to have a big day.
There you go. Joe, as my opponent this week, I saved the best for last, or how, you know what I'm saying.
Yes, sir.
We saved you for last. So who are you starting and sitting this week?
I'm going to go against what my friend Ace had recommended and sitting Terry McLaurin. So what we saw when he faced one of the, you know, top corners already in Darius Slay in Philadelphia, he still had a good game. He put up, 11 fantasy points? So that's solid. You disagree, Ace? You don't think 11 isn't good enough to start someone?
I mean, if 11 is all you got from your receiver, then sure, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, I think he'll get around there plus or minus. No, I don't think he'll get less than that. But you also got to factor garbage time. Of course, the Ravens have one of the top corners in the league, and he might give them a hard time the whole game. But come fourth quarter, we know the Redskins are going to be down. They're going to be playing back. He's going to get a lot of short routes and might get a touchdown eventually through the game. So I think Terry's going to have a good game. For my sit, that it was a tough decision for me, but I decided to go with the guy who scored 24 fantasy points last week after he got a new quarterback in Nick Foles. I'm saying don't trust the Jimmy Graham game. That was against the Atlanta defense. They are terrible. I know he was probably a hot waiver wire, and they may think that Foles is just going to lift the entire offense by himself, but I don't think you can trust that.
So you're starting Terry McLaurin despite Ashton saying not to.
Correct.
Don't do it.
And you are sitting who?
I would say sit Jimmy Graham. Now the irony there is if I don't get Jared Cook to be healthy, I might have to start Jimmy Graham because I don't have an option. We have such good GMs in the league where all the good tight ends are gone. In addition to the outside of the top 12 tight ends are gone. People have 2 tight ends on their roster. So I may sound like a hypocrite, but I don't have a choice.
I completely understand. And so I'll weigh in with my start and my sit. I'm going to go with my sit first. And Ashton, Joe, you guys are my guys. But Carson Wentz is he's absolutely killing me. The first 2 weeks of the season, I started him. He kind of fumbled around. Last week, I sit him. He plays very well. But I'm sitting Carson Wentz. And the big reason is because despite the good output, a lot of that was due to, he had 65 rush yards and a rushing touchdown. I know he's mobile. I trust him to move the ball with his feet, but 65 yards seems like a lot. So I anticipate that number coming down. And against a team like the Cincinnati Bengals who, Baker Mayfield absolutely tore apart, Wentz left a lot to be desired. It was like 225 yards. He did throw a touchdown, but he had 2 picks. He's not able to move the ball downfield that much. Maybe when Alshon Jeffrey comes back, things will get a little bit better, but the passing game isn't there. And I have to shade Carson Wentz this week. And I apologize. You guys are my guys, but it just looks bad out there for Philadelphia's offense. But Ashton, I'm going to stick with you on this one. We're going to stay in Green Bay. Ladies and gentlemen, go Pack, go per usual. I'm going to go with Allen Lazard, though, because I think what you're saying is true, right? When Davonte's in the game, MVS has the chance to be like the explosive guy because he runs a lot of the deep routes. But I think in general, we're seeing Allen Lazard just kind of become the complete wide receiver. And Aaron Rodgers has a lot of trust in him. We hear the press conferences. We know what he's saying about Lazard. And just in general, he's been known to get the ball to a lot of different receivers. The Packers have had tons of good wide receivers over the last few years through the Aaron Rodgers era. And I just think Lazard has taken that step to be the next consistent wide receiver. And they're facing the Falcons, a very porous defense right now. They just lost one of their starting cornerbacks in an already depleted secondary. So I think Lazard, just because he's not as boom or bust as Scantling, he's just super consistent. And with Davonte Adams coming back, he won't have the double coverage or the best cornerback on him one-on-one. So I'm rolling with Allen Lazard this week to start, and I'm shading Carson Wentz. Might even have to drop him from the New Bedford Whalers this week, fellas.
I wouldn't blame you. I wouldn't blame you, bro.
Ashton, what'd you say?
So I wouldn't do all that, but it is what it is. There ain't too many better quarterbacks on the market for you to pick up anyway. So
yeah,
he's been horrible though. He's been god awful.
I do think at this point he's in streamer territory. Like, he's not a must start.
Fair.
Oh, absolutely.
But he's got to get some weapons back. Alshon Jeffrey hasn't come back yet. Deshaun Jackson, hurt. Jalen Reagor, first-round pick wide receiver, hurt. One of the second best. So we have the best tight end duo in the league. Dallas Goedert, hurt. Banged up O-line. Like, you probably can shade him for a while, to be honest.
Your lack of faith in Greg Ward is troubling.
Yeah, there it is. We're at the
Greg Ward, right.
Greg, You know what time it is, man.
Ryan, before you go, and I'm not interrupting you because you didn't start. You seem to have a different philosophy when it comes to using your free agency budget. You spend a lot on your pickups when, at least from my opinion, they don't seem to be, competitive people like that you have a lot of competition for. What was it, $11 for your defense? Would you like to share your overall philosophy with your fab?
Yeah, so when it comes to the free agent balance, I mean, just to open the door to our fans and to watch the league, what we do is we give $100 worth of free agent balance. That's completely free. But everybody in the league gets 1,000 free agent balance. And so anytime you go over $100, you then have to put back into our league. If you go 101, you owe $1 back to the league, which ends up going back to the pot for the champion. How I look at it is that for my team to be competitive, there's certain people or entities like defenses that I feel like I need to win the game. And so I don't want there to be any discussion point when it comes down to it about I want player X, I'm going to go get player X. And so ultimately, if I get close to that fab balance and, I have to pay some money to the league, but I end up winning the championship, then it's worth it. I mean, we're not at that point. We're not even close to the $100 yet. But I think this past week I spent $16 on Brian Hill.
You spent $75, right?
In total, I've spent $75, but that was not all on Brian Hill.
No. Oh, but I thought your statement was we're not close to spending $100, but you spent 75 of 100.
Oh, okay. So that I apologize. So in 4 moves, I've gotten close to that number. So you're right. You're right. And I think the big one was getting Mike Gesicki, who came off of a big week 2 matchup. And I've just had, again, every week I'll talk about it. Last year I got very lucky with Travis Kelce, but for the last few years before that, I'm getting tight ends that are putting up 2 points a game. So if I got to do that to get a tight end who I can count on week in and week out, I'm going to do that. And
Hey Ryan, quick question for you. You spent 75 in total, right?
Yeah.
Ask Joe how many he spent on one transaction.
Oh, Joe can tell you $80.
Oh, okay.
Can you also ask Joe how many points that player has gotten him?
Go ahead, Joe. Enlighten us.
Mike Davis went for $80 in our league. Mike Davis scored 23 points this past week. I would say that's worth it. What's that, Ryan?
Start him?
Of course I started him. I'm not spending $80 to ride on my bench. Unless I had a team like Mo. Of course, you have the luxury of elite players starting only.
Real GM moves.
But Ryan, you are 2-1. So, the results speak for themselves. Of course, you have to know that you weren't the only one going after the Rams. I thought I had a remote chance at bidding $1. I was clearly wrong.
You got to pay the cost to be the boss, man. And
there you go.
Like Mahan said, I mean, right now I am the champion leader of let's get rid of defenses. Me and my man Fitz, we are advocating to get rid of defenses. But as long as they're in our league, I'm going to take the Justin strategy, which is let's stream the best defense. Last week he tells us to get the Colts. They put up like 20 fantasy points on defense. And I was able to get the Buccaneers, which, as Mahan said earlier, was the difference in our matchup. So if that's going to be an advantage that I can use, then I'm going to try to do that. And I think the Rams this week are facing the New York Football Giants, who are abysmal. Sorry, Mahan. Not really sorry, but kind of sorry. So we're going to
hopefully. Giants fans know what's up.
Justin, as the defense whisperer, I picked up the Broncos versus the Jets. How many points do they give me this week?
Given us a Thursday game, you should get I would say about a good 12.
Let's go. I'll take that.
Actually, real quick, before we sign off, let's talk about that for a second. So I was looking at the Broncos facing the Jets, and I thought that was a reasonable stream. But how I kind of feel about that matchup is the Broncos stink right now, right? Like
they do.
They have Drew Lock, and their offense is at full strength. Cortland Sutton, they're good. But they're starting some guy named Brett Rypien who played at Boise State. So I think the game's going to be close. Maybe because no team's going to score too much. I don't know. I was a little bit nervous about that one. Justin, you sure you like 12 points this week for them?
The Jets are bad. Like, bad. Like, as long as Adam Gase is coaching that team, they will not prosper.
Which he might not be coaching afterwards. That's right.
Like, the only reason he's still coach right now, in my opinion, is because it's a short week.
That's it.
Got it. So maybe you're right. I was looking at the Broncos. I stayed away from that. I felt like the Rams, just in general, with guys like
Aaron Donald,
Jalen Ramsey, they had the names. I like them. They're facing a not-so-good Giants team. So I was all in on that. Fellas, another week of us killing it. Another week of us getting together to discuss fantasy football. Ash, do you have anything to add? At least not now. Ashton has nothing to add. Justin, you got anything to say?
Hey, man. Another week. Blessed to be here. Let's make it happen.
Another week. Guests of honor. Mahan, anything to say?
Ronald Lombardi Trophy.
There you go. You're on the Lombardi Trophy. Antoine, last week's winner of the matchup of the week. Anything to add?
Let's get another one.
Let's get another one. We're not even going to throw to Joe because he's my opponent this week. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us.
No. I'm jumping in. Look, if I go 0-4 this week, I'm not getting on this podcast.
Shout to 0-4.
I ain't doing it.
Big shouts to 0-4. Joe, if it looks bad, come the early episode next week. Yeah.
Not feeling too well.
Wish me luck. 2-1 going against 0-3, hoping to come back the early week episode 3-1, heading into the big week 5 matchup against whoever is on the schedule. The Whalers are here to stay. Thank you for joining us within the Indecision.
Oh wait, hold on. I wasn't looking. I was on a work call. I was on a work call, so I couldn't actually hear. I just wanted to give you credit. Todd Gurley has rushed for 49 rush attempts. I think that's like within the top 10. He actually has more rush attempts than Dalvin Cook, so he is getting a bulk share of touches. Just only producing about a total of 35 points.
You wanted to interrupt him for that? To give
I
him
wanted to
credit?
give him credit. Yeah.
No, you save that for another time.
No. Give credit where it's due. Give the man his roses while he can still smell them. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a life lesson. That's what you get when you join us within the Indecision Cave.